Hello and welcome to another edition of Eco at Africa, brought to you by KTN, Channels TV and Deutsche Welle. I'm happy to introduce to you my colleague and T from Nigeria.
Thank you, Joy, and a warm welcome from me here in Port-Harcourt in Rivers State, South Nigeria. I'll be showing you how some of the residents in this region are building their homes in an environmentally responsible way. Now, here are the other things we have coming up on the show today. Why organic solar cells are more environmentally friendly than conventional ones, how riding your bike regularly can earn you a bonus, and then we will present eco-friendly briquettes from Kenya.
First, we head to Senegal. The problem in the West African nation is one that many African countries share: erosion. According to a report on the globalagriculture.org website, 24 billion tons of fertile soil are lost each year worldwide. In Senegal, people living on the coastline have lost their homes and livelihoods to erosion. Swaths of the shoreline are unusable, but there are simple measures to help.
Ibrahim Sissé is looking out over what used to be part of his home village, Port-Harcourt. Many houses and a mosque have been swallowed up and washed away by the Atlantic Ocean. And erosion continues to eat away at Senegal's coastline. What most people do when they find out that their houses are falling apart, they pack their luggage and try to look for a place to resettle in the countryside, or if they are wealthy enough, they move to Dakar or another city. Mao Puni has also lived his whole life in Port-Harcourt. He is a fisherman. The sea provides his livelihood and is destroying his home at the same time. We are facing a lot of challenges here. The sea has been advancing and has now claimed 3 mosques here. And the house where I was born is very far away in the sea. The sea has now taken 300 meters from the villages. The encroaching ocean is threatening the entire economy of the country. About 2/3 of the Senegalese population live near the coast. Not only fishing, but also tourism, industry and commerce are centered there. Ma Puni says he can't move away. We don't have another choice. This is our traditional village. Our ancestors used to live here. Our parents, our fathers, our mothers. We have no choice. We are obliged to live here and face the situation. Human activities such as sand mining and the destruction of mangroves are among the causes of the coastal erosion. That process brings with it other problems such as flooding, the salinization of water and soil, and the degradation of ecosystems. West African states have been discussing ways to tackle the problem for years, but have so far achieved little. In Senegal, the government has earmarked $10 million to build 2,000 new homes for people who lost their old ones to the ocean. But not many have been built yet. In Port-Harcourt, the authorities have built a retaining wall. Ibrahim Sissé says it has made an important difference. The wall has really helped us. If it were not for the wall, even the hill over there would have collapsed, and that house too. When they were building the wall, they even tried to rebuild the small house near the wall. Mao Puni says he hopes the authorities find a solution to the problem that will be permanent, so his children can enjoy their ancestral home beside the sea. Though he wants to stay here in Port-Harcourt, he and his neighbors may one day be forced to go.
We now move on to an innovation that could help reduce environmental distraction. I'm talking about organic solar cells. Conventional solar panels contain rare earth metals, resources sometimes mined in Africa, causing massive environmental damage. By contrast, organic solar cells are based on plastics and organic molecules and are cheaper to produce. We now examine the pros and cons of these so-called eco-friendly organic solar cells.
Ink and foils. That's pretty much all German company Belectric OPV needs for its wafer-thin, plastic-based, organic photovoltaic modules. Hermann Isser is hoping to corner the market with these organic solar cells. So far, his company's biggest success has been in Africa. The lightweight, flexible modules have been integrated into the roof of the new African Union Conference Centre in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. They provide the electricity for the building's lighting.
This is a trailblazing project for the region. It's been very exciting for people here to work with cutting-edge technology, the same technology that's used in the West, and to see that a project that's really unprecedented anywhere in the world is being implemented here, in their country, on their continent.
Conventional solar cells are made of bulky silicon. Organic solar cells are simply printed, using a kind of ink made of special carbon compounds. David Müller of German chemicals maker Merck explains.
This ink contains materials that absorb the light in the organic solar cell and convert it into electricity. The finished module is a relatively complex multi-layer construction that determines the form, flexibility, and transparency.
The organic photovoltaic modules are more environmentally friendly than silicon-based solar cells. They use less material and don't require any rare earth metals. Their production is also less energy intensive.
We don't need to purify the material, and we don't need high temperatures. There's no blast furnace or reactor involved. It's just simple printing technology.
These solar trees were showcased at the 2015 Expo in Milan. These days, organic solar cells come in all shapes and sizes, which is why they also appeal to architects and designers. However, for the time being, they have a lower energy yield than standard solar cells. That's why they still haven't cornered the market. Researchers in this physics laboratory at the University of Würzburg are testing new polymers. Their aim is to make the solar cells more efficient. Physicist Vladimir Diakonov is an expert on photovoltaics.
You can see here real organic solar cells made of different polymers that give different colors but also different efficiencies. And they are very nice and very attractive for future application in buildings, for example. Architects, they like different colors. They don't want to stick on blue like silicon solar cell, but they want to have green and yellow. And so that's actually probably the future.
Today, chlorine is still often used in the industrial production process. It can damage the skin and the airways. Diakonov and his team are developing a cleaner alternative.
We have selected a set of interesting candidates, the so-called green solvent, and combination of this green solvent that do not contain chlorine. 5-6 interesting solvent that can be used to dissolve these organic polymers and small molecules to make a solar cell.
The technology is still in its infancy. The idea is to integrate it into building facades, where it will produce electricity exactly where it's needed. The printable organic solar cells are an affordable technology that could easily be adopted in Africa.
The investment is relatively low compared to traditional silicon-based technologies. They require a lot of funding to set up production and see a monetary return later on.
The long-term vision foresees organic solar cells made in Africa lining the facades of high-rises to provide electricity for entire cities all over the continent.
From research, we turn now to a totally different topic. And we're returning to Africa, to a city where you are standing right now, Nti.
That's right, Joy. I'm in Port-Harcourt, the capital of Rivers State in South Nigeria. It's famed for the oil industry and it's a major commercial center. Now, environmental protection is catching on here, and some people are spearheading some of these initiatives. So we went to see how they built their houses to environmentally sustainable standards. Well, they also told us how they are teaching others or educating others about environmental issues and then some of the challenges that they're encountering.
A myriad of challenges affect Nigeria and its residents. Amongst them are poor housing conditions and power supply. Only 95 million Nigerians have access to electricity. That's just over half of the population. And even if there is electricity, it is very expensive. Besides that, in many areas, people don't have access to safe drinking water and good sanitation. A team of green architects and engineers want to change that. In southern Nigeria, they built low-energy houses. These houses are designed to be environmentally friendly and cost-efficient. They have inbuilt self-cooling systems, use solar energy, and reuse their water. To date, 16 adults and 22 children live in what they call the Eco Village. One of the residents, Faith, tells us how his life has changed since he moved 18 miles away with some of his neighbors.
For now, I have a sitting room, a bathroom, a toilet, and a veranda. There is no criminal disturbing me here. Even in the midnight, I come back, I can walk down to my house, nobody molests me. In fact, this place is very, very good.
The houses run completely on renewable energy, thanks to clever systems that need only 1/3 of the amount of energy of a normal house and half of the amount of water. So the residents are also saving a lot of money.
Where I was living, monthly, I was paying 1,000, each 1,000 every month. And the water, you buy water. We have water here, as you can see it. We don't buy any water. And light, we have been using solar light, yeah.
The architects also took care of temperature control. For example, compressed earth blocks keep the interiors cool.
You can see from the buildings, one is built with bricks and then with cement blocks. And basically to see how they compare in terms of climate control within the houses. Every room is ventilated from 2 sides, yeah, so that they have a free flow of air.
Faith and his family are thrilled to be living in the Eco Village, and he would never move out again. So far, there are 8 apartments, each worth 15,000 euros. But the project leaders want to do more.
What next? Sell the idea maybe to people who have the resources or government, to apply it on a wider scale to maybe get our people out of these cramped conditions in which they live in the distance.
The houses might be expensive at first sight, but Omi Ben Kaliu hopes that more and more people will invest in houses that in the long run save them money and also help the environment.
I know that it would be better for the environment if we all could build like our friends. Yes, but we could also try using our bicycles more often. It will help the environment, but the congestion on our streets will not encourage that in Nigeria. Now, you'll be taking your life in your hands if you had to do that. But in Germany, there is an app that rewards you for switching to pedal power. We'd like to present this idea to you today in our ongoing series, Doing Your Bit.
You can save a lot of money by switching to pedal power. Nora Grazzini and her team in Germany have come up with a new app. They hope to persuade people to leave their cars at home. With the app called Radbonus, you can collect points for every kilometer you cycle and get discounts, for example, in online sports and clothing stores. If you travel 100 kilometers by bike, you can clock up a 10% rebate. More than 10,000 people have already downloaded the app. It's great for the environment, both fuel and emission-free. And besides that, biking is fun.
Do you like that? If you're also doing your bit, tell us about it. Visit our website or send us a tweet. #DoingYourBit. We share your stories.
Well, the next story here might sound almost too good to be true to some of us. A young man in Kenya has developed an environmentally friendlier type of fuel for stoves. But Joy, tell us, how did he do that?
Yes, it's unbelievable. In fact, it's even much cheaper than the charcoal we have to cut down trees for. This Kenyan is making briquettes out of sugar cane. And the beauty about this is he's got vast plantation right on his doorstep.
These charcoal briquettes are different. They're smokeless and high energy. Tom Osborne invented them when he was just a teenager. Now he's 20, a social entrepreneur, and a student of economics at Harvard.
So green charcoal is made from sugarcane waste. It is much more healthier as it reduces the smoke and particulate emissions. It is much more cheaper than conventional firewood, and it lasts longer, which allows people to save more money on the long term.
Sugarcane is cheap and plentiful. It grows here on huge plantations. Once the sucrose is extracted, the waste is usually left to rot, but in fact it's a valuable resource. It has to be burned before it can be processed into briquettes.
So this is one of the kilns that we use to produce the product. As you can see, we designed and produced it locally. It's very low-tech. And so during this process, most of the smoke and particulate emissions will come out of this chimney. And so we are getting them out through this process, and so they won't affect people's lungs when they're cooking.
Tom Osborne set up his charcoal plant on his parents' farm in Kisumu. It now employs 7 people. The carbonized organic waste from the sugarcane is mixed with starch and a little regular coal dust. The work is done by hand, or rather by foot. The sludge is then shaped into briquettes. At first, that too was done by hand, but demand was so high that Osborne bought a machine to do it.
Conventional charcoal is made from cutting down trees, and it is made in very traditional and very inefficient kilns. And so, as a result, for every 1 kilogram of charcoal, there's 5 kilograms of trees that are lost. And because of the inefficiency during production, there's a higher smoke and particulate emission.
Huge stretches of forest have been lost in Kenya. Mau Forest is a massive carbon dioxide sink. It was facing total destruction. Now there are efforts to plant lots of new trees. Tom Osborne and some schoolmates developed this alternative to smoky charcoal 4 years ago, winning prizes for their contribution to protecting the environment.
So these are 2 of the products that we are having. So for this, we're going to dry them in the sun, and then we will distribute them through our kiosks, like the ones we have in some of the slums in Nairobi.
Transporting briquettes to the capital, 350 kilometers away, is expensive, so Osborne wants to set up a plant there too. 4 tons of wood-based charcoal are burnt every day in the slums of Nairobi. It's expensive and a major source of pollution. Osborne's eco-briquettes are almost smokeless and cost just half the price.
Here in Kibera, the eco-charcoal is very popular. So many people here just don't have the money for gas or kerosene cookers. Cheap sugarcane briquettes are a great alternative.
They're also healthier. The smoke from standard charcoal is bad for the lungs. Osborne's own mother couldn't bear it. Her suffering is what started him looking for alternatives.
And I got infected by chest problem. But after Tom I started making this charcoal briquette. When I'm using charcoal briquette, the chest problem disappear and I'm healthy now, and I'm grateful for that.
Osborne hopes to set up eco-charcoal plants all over Kenya. Though he also hopes his product will eventually become obsolete.
It is not a perfect product. We want people to move away from all forms of consumption of biomass, but we don't know where we want them to go to, so we are also trying to find that out.
Tom Osborne is already a serial social entrepreneur, always on the lookout for new ways to combat climate change, empower the young, and overcome poverty.
Back to Europe now. It's sad that in recent years Ukraine has mainly been in the news because of the conflict there. But we shouldn't forget the country's animals. Ukraine is home to some rare species. A community effort is now underway there to try and protect a native breed of buffalo. The number of Carpathian buffaloes has fallen dramatically in recent years. And in a bid to reverse the decline, local farmers are now being given some of them for free.
The Ukrainian village of Rozgircha is close to the border with Romania. Ekaterina Kotek has a farm here with 6 Carpathian buffaloes. Since retiring from her job as a lawyer, she's devoted her time to looking after this rare breed.
I do my work and I like it. I don't know whether it's mainly about preserving the breed or just a hobby. My granddaughter used to tell me, "Granny, your hobby is very expensive." And it's true, taking care of them costs money, and with my pension, it would be very difficult to do. But of course, the whole family is helping me, so it's okay.
A few kilometers away, in the village of Steblivka, more purebred Carpathian buffaloes are being put out to graze. Ecologist Michel Jacobi says their numbers have fallen dramatically over the years. They used to be a standard fixture in Ukraine's Carpathian Mountains. Today they number in the hundreds. Jacobi is trying to encourage farmers to help save the rare breed.
We're giving people buffalo to take care of. It's known as an animal loan system. We give people the animal for free, they take care of it, and give us the first calf. We then give the calf to another person. But unfortunately, people don't want to take care of the animal for free.
Many local farmers prefer the Indian Murrah buffalo. They produce more milk and are considered easier to keep than their local counterparts. Their introduction has given rise to lots of mixed breeds, so finding a purebred Carpathian buffalo is a challenge in this region nowadays. Jacobi says the problem is many farmers just don't have the right attitude.
Here, everyone keeps telling me that the buffalo is an angry animal, and you have to beat it. So I ask them, how much milk does your buffalo give? They say none. When I ask why, they simply say that it needs to be beaten to get milk. But the opposite is true. You need to be calm with buffalo. They'll only give you milk if they trust you.
With financial help from her family, Ekaterina Kotek is planning to take on more animals from Michel Jacobi's herd. She currently has 2 workers helping her. One of them is Maria Guk, who says it took time to adapt to the differences of keeping Carpathian buffaloes.
First, we had to milk them manually, but then we tried bit by bit to milk them by machine. It wasn't easy, but now they're used to it. It's important to treat them like humans, like a child. You need to give them candy or an apple sometimes.
She says each buffalo can then give up to 10 liters of milk a day. Ekaterina Kotek's latest idea is making cheese. She's currently experimenting with different varieties and plans to start selling them to the local community soon. She hopes that if the cheese proves a success, interest in Carpathian buffaloes could soon increase.
And that's all we had for you on this edition of the show. I hope that you got some inspiration from some of our eco-friendly story ideas. Bye-bye from me in Nairobi, Kenya.
And goodbye from me in Port-Harcourt in Nigeria's South region. If you want to know more about us, please get in touch via our social media platforms or take a look at our website. Hope you'll join us next week for a new show.